All right, we're back, and it's time to talk about aggression in chapter 10. So, first off, let's address some theories of why aggression exists. Freud said it was our instinct. If you recall your Freudian theory, he says that in our unconscious id, there are two main instincts: aggression and sex. So, it's an unconscious, inborn, it's present at birth instinct to aggress. The evolutionary theorists say that it is an inherited tendency. So I guess that's, still technically an instinct. But the evolutionary psychologists say that it's present because it promotes reproductive fitness. So it helps to ensure that the person's genes will get into the future. The little cartoon, in case you can't read it, says 20% genetic, 80% environmental, and he's a homeless person with his sign. All right, now this theory says that aggression is related to our levels of testosterone and our levels of serotonin. So, testosterone being a hormone and serotonin being a neurotransmitter. So, brain and chemical based. And then the final theory of aggression says that it's due to learning. And I've got a picture here of the social learning theory that we learn through modeling. So, these are our main theories that we're going to be addressing. And so let's go ahead and start by saying, what is aggressive behavior? Aggressive behavior is defined as any action that is intended to hurt another. It's really important that you remember the word intended, because sometimes we have accidents, and sometimes, a person gets hurt in the process of, somebody trying to do something entirely different. Aggressive behavior has to have that intent. Now, there are different kinds of aggression. There's antisocial aggression, which is where the other person gets hurt because of the individual's self-serving acts. So they're hurting the other person without regard for the other person's feelings or the other person's health or anything else. The antisocial aggression is strictly to serve the individual's needs. There's prohibited aggression, right, where there's certain kinds of aggression that is literally against the law. Right? Like, you are not allowed to punch somebody in the face. You're not allowed to shoot someone. You're not allowed to kick someone. I mean, there are specific types, those are all examples of assault. One's assault with a deadly weapon, right? You can't stab someone, those kinds of things. Some types of aggression are not technically against the law. So we'll talk about those. Hostile aggression is when the aggressive act is being conducted by somebody who is actually feeling angry and doesn't like or might even hate their victim. So we call that hostile aggression. They're doing it because of their feelings towards the victim. In all of these cases, the aggressor is usually angry when they are engaging in the aggressive behavior. Prosocial aggression is aggression that is usually done to help, like, the larger good or something like that. Like, if you've got a person who's threatening the lives of three innocent people, we may have to behave aggressively towards the one aggressor in order to save the three innocent lives, right? That's prosocial. You're doing it to protect others. And so a lot of times aggression that's depicted by law enforcement officers fall under that category. They're trying to protect the public from the individual who is displaying aggressive behavior themselves. Sanctioned aggression is aggression that is not only not against the law, but is actually preserved in the law. Like, for example, aggression in the form of self-defense. So if somebody starts attacking you, you're allowed to fight back. You're allowed to fight back with equal levels of aggression. So it's not only not against the law, it's actually part of the law that you can do it. The last kind of aggression is instrumental. And this is oftentimes the kind of aggression that it's not intended to hurt the other person. Instrumental aggression is where I'm trying to achieve my goal and the other person may have gotten hurt in the process, and I wasn't trying to do that. I was just watching my two grandchildren. One is 3 and one is 2. And the 1-year-old wanted some of the sidewalk chalk, and the 3-year-old did not want the 1-year-old to have sidewalk chalk. So she shoved him in his abdomen, and, he's just a little toddler, so he fell to the ground. And, we have to teach her that you can't push him to keep him away from what you want, because look, he fell down, and, this kind of thing. But she wasn't doing it to hurt him. She was doing it to keep him away from her chalk. So it's a different kind of aggression. It's not something that's intended to hurt. The other person might get hurt incidentally through it. With pro-social, sanctioned, and instrumental types of aggression, a lot of times the person who's displaying this kind of aggression is not angry. I think my granddaughter might have been angry that her brother was trying to touch her chalk, but I don't think she has any concept that pushing him would cause him to fall down, which could cause him to skin his knee or hit his head or something. I don't think she has that kind of logic, and that's why hers falls under instrumental, even if she might have been angry at the time. So usually angry on the right-hand side, might not be angry on the left-hand side. All right. Now let's distinguish between anger and aggression, because a lot of times we use those words interchangeably, but you've got to admit there are times you've been angry and you've never behaved aggressive. That anger did not lead to aggression. Right? So it's not that hard to kind of distinguish these. Anger is the emotion that you feel, right? Like you can feel it in you. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing gets more shallow, your face might look like that. It's an emotion that you experience, whereas aggression is a behavior, right? So you may then act on your anger. But like I said in the previous slide, there are situations where aggression is displayed and the person isn't actually experiencing anger. And there's times that aggression is displayed and they are. So where does anger come from? What kinds of things make us angry? Well, feeling like we've been attacked. And now, of course, if you've been physically attacked, it's probably not a feeling. You probably are being physically attacked. I thought I'd share an example of a feeling of being attacked. So we've got an email that I have significantly redacted. So the email starts out, "Hi," and addresses the new club newsletter editor by name. And it's from the former club newsletter editor. "I just got a call from a 20-year member asking why he hasn't gotten a club newsletter for quite a while. These people should be getting their hard copies! Exclamation point. Also, the club officer should be on the last page of all the club newsletters. I went there to get the club president's phone number off it, and there wasn't any officers list. I offered to help set this up, but you didn't want any help." So I don't think it's probably super surprising that the new club newsletter editor found this to be an attack, and this generated anger in the new club newsletter editor. When the former club newsletter editor was asked about, why are you attacking me on this? The former club newsletter, "I didn't attack you. What are you talking about?" But you could see where this could feel like an attack and could generate anger, could make the recipient feel like they're being picked on while they're trying to learn this new thing. Frustration is also a source of anger. If you feel like, something is interfering with you achieving your goal, that can generate frustration inside of you, which then can lead to anger. So things that could be examples of frustrations: family conflicts. We've got our world's greatest family here. Job problems can cause frustration, right? Where your time frame is too short and you got to get this done, or you haven't been given all the tools, or you keep getting disrupted by things that are going on in the office or something like that. High temperatures can be one of those things that can lead to frustration. Like all the things that you would like to do, the fact that you're sort of either stuck inside in the air conditioning, or you don't have air conditioning, so all you can do is just sort of sit still and hope not to melt. These kinds of things can lead to frustration. Money problems interfere with your goals, right? Your goal to be out of debt, or your goal to be able to earn as much as you need to spend to survive, whatever. That can lead to frustration. Another thing that can lead to frustration is either actual competition or a perception of competition, right? Where you feel like, maybe you should be able to just sort of do your job or perform at the level that you're supposed to perform at school or whatever it is, but you keep being placed into this situation where other people are sort of nipping at your heels or trying to make you feel insecure or things like that, that kind of sense of competition. My personally least favorite aspect of competition is trash talking. It's like, can we just let this go, like however it's going to go, without you having to say, and I'm going to beat you and your mama and whatever. To me, like, that's the worst part of competition, is when, before we even start, we're supposed to start, verbally insulting each other. No, thank you. So competition has like a bunch of different aspects to it that can make it really that. And, going back to that newsletter that I showed you, I think that's part of why it felt like an attack to the new newsletter editor, is that it felt like the old newsletter editor was saying, you have to do it the way that I did. Like, I had already established the best way to do it, and you have to do all the things that I did in the way that I did it, which felt competitive, right? Or, it was an attack. It was, on that competitive level kind of thing. And that makes it worse. All right. So those are some things that can make us angry. But like I said earlier, just because you're experiencing anger doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to behave aggressively. So what takes us from anger into aggression? Let's go ahead and take a little break here, and we'll come back and talk about this in the next video.